Hey, welcome back to Zombie Tactics. Want to do a video today about a concept that I think gets discussed a lot and sometimes it's poorly understood. I'm going to give you some background on it and my thoughts, my opinion on it, and you do with it what you will. The concept I'm going to talk about is the concept of center mass. I know you've heard this phrase before, this term before, you've read it in books, you've seen it in videos, or you've been in a class where somebody says on the up command or the beep or whatever the go signal is, draw and put two to the center mass, and then I don't know, do whatever assess you do or that kind of thing, whatever they do in that class. But the term that's used is center mass. So what is center mass? Is it a sensible concept? Where did it come from? What does it mean? And should we do something a little different? Is that really the best way to look at it? Well, center mass is usually referred to as what we're looking at here on a variant of a standard B-27 law enforcement qualification target, as kind of this red zone here. Now, not every department uses this target with the red zone on here, but it shows up really good on video, so this is what we're going to do. And in practice, what we would do is we would try to make sure that our shots at some decent rate of speed coming out of the holster, getting rounds on target. We want to practice to be as accurate as possible at a decent rate of speed, good split times, good time out of the holster, good time to first shot, all of that kind of thing. And we say, all right, well, we're shooting pretty good here, right? Because these are all touching this little red area in the middle, which would be called the X or the 10 ring or something like that. Actually, it's the X. The 10 ring is here. We shoot for that area because the idea behind this, going back in law enforcement history and why this target was designed, was we want to shoot for the center of the mass of the human being so that when we shoot, we know our accuracy is not going to be as good in reality as it is when we're practicing. So we know that those patterns, those groups are going to open up a little bit. So what we want to do is we want to shoot at an area right in the center so we have the best chance of hitting something. And we call that center mass. Well, is this actually center mass? No, it's really not. This on me, I kind of lined this up with me a little bit, is kind of like about 2 inches above my belly button. Somebody who's taller, it would be a little different. Line them up, whatever. Actual center mass on a human being, because the legs have a significant amount of mass, would actually be further down. It would be further down here, maybe below the belly button or at the waistline or something, depending upon the human being. So right off the bat, this is technically, scientifically, not the center mass of a human body. It's more like we've chopped off the head, we've chopped off the legs, maybe we've chopped off the arms, and sure enough, where that X goes when we draw that, that's the center of that mass. And again, the idea was, in practice, we're going to try and get these really, really good groupings so that when we're in a real fight, we know that's going to open up and we're not going to get hits necessarily as good. Our shooting is going to get a lot worse in a real incident, but we have a really good chance of hitting something. And every hit on that person is going to have some kind of an effect, is a good chance of hitting something that will either cause some pain, not likely, or hitting some kind of major vasculature, or putting a wound on them, maybe some bleeding so that they even look at themselves and go, holy crap, I've been shot, I need to not be doing this anymore. Gives us a really good chance of doing that. Well, is that the best way to look at it? I think over time, even though police departments commonly use this target still for qualifications, and in qualifications, it's funny, you could get all of the rounds like this in qualifications at some really, really, really generous time frames in terms of the standards, and that would still be considered enough to meet your qualification scores. I'm not really happy with that, because what that means is that if this is the best a person can do, giving the amount of time that you get in a qualification, which is kind of forever, if that's the best you can do, that means your rounds are likely to be all over the frickin' place in a real incident. So I think we should go to a better standard than that right off the bat. We probably should try to, make some percentage of the rounds at least have to go in that area there. But is this the right way to look at it? I think not, and I think most thinking people over time have realized that no, we can train to a better standard than that. We could probably, regardless of what we do in qualifications, we should hold ourselves to a higher standard. And the higher standard should be something more like what is represented on this target. This is also based on the B-27 torso. I'm going to turn around this way. But we've got some different scoring zones put in here. And instead of looking at what we're calling this as center mass, we're going to call this area here center mass. And this is more the high upper torso or the high center chest, you'll hear it referred to. You'll also hear people, though, referring to that as center mass. And this is kind of like, it's the center of the mass where there's a lot of good stuff that you can hit. There's a lot of vasculature here. There's heart, there's lungs, there's arteries and all kinds of good stuff that you can hit. That if you put enough hits in this area, every hit that you get is likely to be meaningful and to do something to reduce the ability of that person to continue doing whatever the bad thing is that they were doing that you want to stop. So in practice, sure, we're still going to try and get these hits maybe within this little red zone here, but we found that sure, we can get those, but in a real incident, what's going to happen is that's going to open up and we're going to more get rounds looking like this on the target. I can put a few more. Well, we don't want to have that be the level of training that we train to, but sure enough, if we're training to get them all real kind of tight in practice here and then they open up in a real incident, what this means is that we're getting a lot of good hits in an area of the body where there's a lot of stuff that will reduce the ability of that person to continue on trying to kill you, rape you, rob you, whatever it is that they're attempting to do that you need to stop right now. You know, a hit here would probably hit the heart or an aorta. One of these, there's major vasculature, there's lungs, there's all kinds of stuff here. These would be good hits. So let's change our concept of center mass and maybe not the center mass of the human body or the center mass of the human torso, but the center mass of where most of the good stuff is that will help us take a bad guy out of the fight. That's Zombie Tactics for today, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. Bye-bye.